Danny, you're back with us at Swindon, where you achieved domestic success in your playing days. Firstly, how does it feel to be in and around Swindon town again?
Yeah, it's fantastic to be back around it, to be around the football club. I established some real good connections with people in and around the football club when I played here, and kept in touch with a lot of people when I left. And yeah, to be back it is fantastic. The academy, having a great season. They're doing some fantastic work, and to be a part of that, a small part of that is fantastic for me.
How did the opportunity come about?
Well, when I played, I got quite close, and with Sean Wood, who was, I think, doing my role at that time, and I was always quite keen to do some coaching, get on the grass as much as possible and be around it. And I did a couple of sessions each week over the course of that season, and we sort of kept in touch when I left the club over the past sort of 2-3 years here and there. And he reached out when the youth development phase lead coach role became available. Sort of coincided with myself and my family wanting to move back down this way as well, so the timing was really good. And that's sort of how it came about. I interviewed for the role. I had to go through obviously the proper processes, and kind of knew sort of Dave Farrell and Alex Pike as well from my time here. I think Dave was doing the 18s, Alex was in the foundation phase at the time. So they made that interview process nice and comfortable for me. Of course, I had to interview well, and then obviously here I am now.
If we touch a little bit on your playing career, how much will that and the experience you've had help with the younger prospects we've got here?
Well, I just try and tap into my experiences as much as possible. I try and, when I speak to young players, I always say to them, look, I've been there, and try and show real empathy with those players and the parents as well, and just try and rely on sort of my experiences and understand what it is that they're going through, and try and be really sort of empathetic with that. And I think the fact that I've gone on that journey as well, that the players are going through, the ups and the downs that inevitably that they'll go across, helps in terms of my understanding. As a coach, you want to try and be as understanding of what they're going through, and I think the fact that I've done it allows me to do that.
Of course, you were part of the side that delivered League 2 success here, so how much hunger and desire do you have to replicate that kind of success with, albeit the younger prospects, but still prospects at the club nonetheless?
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to. The ultimate is always is to win as a player. I think that's in your DNA. It's in your nature to want to win. So, albeit obviously within academy football, to win matches isn't the number one goal. It's to develop players and good people and good humans. But no doubt, that sort of winning mentality within the academy is something that we'll be looking to instill across the board. Though it's not the be all and end all.
Probably a bit of a trick question, but what was your best moment in this Swindon shirt?
I mean, of course, the circumstances in which we won the league were unusual for us. But for me, I think scoring against Crewe at home for me was a standout moment. It was a first v second sort of top of the league table clash at the time. It was an important result, and obviously that the way the season ended, that result apparently was obviously very important because we ended up winning on the goal difference. I think it was, or by a point, I believe. So yeah, that moment to be able to celebrate. I think my wife and kids were in the crowd as well. So yeah, those moments are memorable.
Played for Swindon, as we mentioned, but of course you played for a number of other EFL and top level clubs. So how will that experience help you going into this role now here?
Yeah, I think the phase in terms of the players going into the latter part of it, the under 15s, 16s, that are, they're preparing themselves for a full-time programme with the under 18s. You can really start to implement some serious sort of foundations in terms of what they're going to come across in a full-time programme, and it's trying to really instill those those principles and obviously the club's values with those players. Really getting them established in the the 11-11 format. They'll get exposure when they go into the under 18s programme, playing in front of crowds and things like that, and just trying to tap into my experience of doing that. The idea is obviously help them as much as possible and prepare them for that.
How was the transition from player to coach?
Well, I still want to play. I still want to play, of course. And I've not officially hung up the boots, but look, it's. I think from when I was about 26, 27, I sort of got my thinking head on for, okay, what is it? I'm going to do. Post football. I know it's not going to last forever. That was when I was at Portsmouth, and started to do my coaching badges and started to coach in their academy as well. So for me, probably recognised that this is the route that I wanted to go down relatively early on, and like I said, coached in the Portsmouth Academy, Swindon Academy here, did a bit across the Grimsby Academy as well when I was there, and it was something that I recognised that I wanted to do. In terms of it being seamless, it's never it's never seamless. There's always a lot of moving parts to it. I think for a player that's played for for 15, 16 years, and that's all you've really done, to suddenly go into the real world, really, and that's just what it's like. There's a lot of adjustments from the day to day, but to be it's the next best thing to playing. There's no doubt about that. To be on the grass, every day, working with players, trying to develop players, is the next best thing to being out on the grass yourself competing.
If we look a bit more into your coaching career so far, so obviously you were previously with Darlington as assistant and then caretaker manager. So what did that experience teach you?
That experience was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Working with men in and around a first team with 3 points on the line, obviously a crowd, and going to away grounds and things like that was invaluable to my learning as a coach. Allowed me to learn, how to coach different characters and different egos and things like that. Every player learns and are receptive to different ways of coaching, different ways of learning, whether it's on the grass or as a visual, and also we mentioned about sort of the winning mentality. That's obviously a given at first team level. So to coach with that mentality and that mindset was really interesting, and thoroughly enjoyed it at a club where I played the previous season, so I was familiar with the demands and the expectations there. So for the 4 or 5 months that I did it, I absolutely loved it. The 3 points on the line, that gives you that, again, the next best thing to playing yourself, where you get the butterflies in your stomach before a game. It was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
As you mentioned, you've obviously had smaller coaching roles with the likes of Grimsby here and also at Portsmouth as well. So what have you learnt from the time when you were doing a bit of coaching here as a player to where we are now, where you've obviously come back in a coaching role?
Yeah, well, I've had quite a versatile experience, really. With Grimsby, I coached across the academy, foundation phase and youth development phase. So, there's such a difference from coaching, 9, 10, 11-year-olds to then coaching under 15, 16s. You do have to coach in a different way, a different manner. Your language has to change. But also knowing that you can coach in those age groups with the the mindset, if you make a mistake in the session or it's not quite right, or it's okay, and the players probably don't notice too much. And then when you do go into a first team environment, you go in that session, it's prepped, it's planned, it's spot on, your delivery's right, your coaching interventions are right as well. And those experiences that I've had, like I said, across foundation phase, youth development phase, and then a first team as well, sort of prepared me for us. Well, I'd like to think anything that comes my way.
Obviously you are in as the youth development phase lead coach, so what will that role entail for you?
Yeah, primarily it's helping the under 13s and 14s sort of transition from the end of the foundation phase, so going into 11v11 and what that looks like for them, and then the latter part of the youth development phase, 15s, 16s, preparing them, like we mentioned before, for that 4-time program, and just supplementing and supporting that journey across those 4 age groups, in developing them as people first. No doubt. Not all of those players are going to go through to that under 18s program, but if when they do leave the football club and the environment, that they've left here, better people than when they came in. That's the main job, and obviously developing players for that under 18s program as best possible, is obviously really important as well.
You obviously work with the other phases coaches there we have here, so how important has that been for you to integrate with them and continue to build on the positives that have been within the academy this season?
Yeah, massively. To be able to integrate it as quickly as possible in sort of the end of January when I come in, to understand the role was really important. And a lot of the guys, Alex, obviously academy manager Dave, Ryan Elliott, foundation lead phase coach, and obviously Woody, PDP lead. So to get around those guys as much as possible and understand the role and the responsibilities within that was super important. That I did that as quick as possible. So those the help of those guys was imperative to that. It didn't take me long to understand the club's values. I'd felt it before, obviously a few years ago, and I know where the club can be, certainly on the top end of it. But there's a lot of good work going on behind the scenes. Obviously, the results of that is the FA Youth Cup run. I think that shows the fruits, obviously, the hard work that's gone in over the past for a long time, really, because a lot of those players have been here a very long time. But yeah, to now be playing a small part in that role, or that journey, if you like, for those players, means a lot.
Of course, there has been a lot of coverage on the under-18s and their Youth Cup. Of course, there is still positives and success in the younger age groups, which of course you're a part of as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of good work was obviously done pre-Christmas, but there was certainly quite a few results needed to be achieved after Christmas throughout January, February, and a bit of March with regards to the under-16s. So they won their Youth Alliance League, which is great for them. So they get to experience, they get to lift the trophy. They received the trophy and medals on the pitch at halftime with a first team game, which is, it's a great experience for them to feel what it's like, on county ground with 7,000 or 8,000, 9,000 fans in the crowd. And what that does, by them winning that allows the programme for the under-15s and the under-14s going into 15s next season. They get a much more well-rounded programme, the games programme that they get exposed to next season. So there's a domino effect to the success that the under-16s have, which is, for those guys moving into 15, 16 next year is going to be fantastic for them.
How much are you enjoying the role here at Swindon at the minute?
I think being on the grass every day, being able to coach and develop players is the next best thing to actually being out there yourself. I said I recognised early it was something that I was quite passionate about. So in terms of to answer the question, thoroughly enjoying it, enjoying getting the ability to get around the 18s as much as possible as well, and learn from Woody. And Kirk, and then obviously when they're at Beversbrook, can be around the first team, and Gavin and Liam and those guys up there as well. So loads of opportunities for me to get around top coaches, which just try and soak in as much as I can.
Finally, Danny, what are the goals and targets for you within the academy, and also the phase you work in particular, both this season and also in the longer term?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think the ultimate is getting players ready, as many players as we can ready for the under-18s program, that full-time program. Ideally, we know we're bringing in players, players from in around the Wiltshire area, which is important to the football club. If not, then obviously then we recruit elsewhere. But bringing players, through that system that are good characters, good human, good people, they're going to be well looked after, and if we can get as many of those players into that under-18s full-time program as possible, then we're doing our job. I think if boys then leave the environment at various stages within my phase in particular, they leave having a good positive experience. They go knowing that they've got the full support of the full academy. Player care and Sophie does a fantastic job. The full support from us in terms of what is the next step for them. How do they find another club, another environment? We fully support that journey in every way that we can. We put player like a CV, if you like, together for the players, and part of my role is help and supplement that process as well. Just creating and developing players as best they can, and try and take them as far as we can. And obviously we make a decision at certain points. But ultimately developing good people, good characters, and as many good football players for the football club as we can.